guys, so a few of you asked to revise labelling theory, so that's what we're going through today. Now, I've basically broken it down, so we're looking at, to begin with, how labelling theory impacts class, and then how it impacts ethnicity. So we're kind of like, what's the saying, killing two birds with one stone, or something like that. Okay, so starting off with class. So before we get into labelling, what we need to think about is studies suggest that a teacher has in their mind an ideal student. So that ideal student is likely to be hardworking, engage well with the lessons, they're likely to look a certain way. And what studies have shown is that working class students are less likely to hit the idea of the ideal student as a middle class student. What that does is, once the student has been labelled a particular way, the teacher's actions will then change because of that label. So it might be how they're set, it might be the level of questioning they get in class, it might be the ability of work that they get. So the idea of labelling is that it has a knock-on effect on the student's behaviour, the student's education, because they're restricted from getting certain high skilled learning, and they're disciplined more harshly. So with that, what I've done is I've given you an article that was a couple of people put together on research on this topic. So if you could read that article, and on the next page there's a few questions. Question number 3, sorry Simon, can you get that, because I'm doing a video. Right, so then question number 3, only answer is only answer if you are going for an A star grade. Don't worry if you are not. Okay, so self-fulfilling prophecy is slightly different from labelling, and people tend to get them muddled up. So labelling, it starts in the same place. So it's the teacher labels a student based on their idea of their ideal student. The second part is the same, that their behaviour then changes. Now, what self-fulfilling prophecy brings in that labelling doesn't is that the student then internalises this belief and sees themselves this way, and that then changes their behaviour. So if they've been labelled negatively, they might start to behave more badly or see themselves as less likely to succeed. So if I could just get you, I've got you a little snippet from an article where working class kids were interviewed. So if I could just get you to read through that and answer the questions. Okay, so that's how it impacts class with labelling. So I've now moved on to look at how it impacts ethnicity. So again, I have got an idea of how of research into how teachers label students, and I've kind of, what I've done is I've highlighted key terms. So we've got racialised expectations. Racialised expectations, if you could write a definition below. Racialised expectations is the idea that a teacher has a preconceived idea on how an ethnic minority student is going to act, and therefore, as we saw in the previous topic, they adjust their behaviour because of that. Marginalised is the idea that they're left out of classroom discussions, left out from certain elements of education, so they're marginalised. So if I could get you read this and read the research and just write a definition of those key terms before. Now, on the next page, we've got 2 findings. First of all, we have got we've got some secondary data. We've got official statistics, and we found that the African, Caribbean, Irish travellers are 3 to 4 times more likely to be excluded than the other group. Now, what I would like you to do is explain, from what you already know from the previous slide, why that is likely to be. Then we've got some primary research where someone interviewed Asian students on the experience of their education, and this is an answer that a Muslim girl gave who was interviewed about her experiences. And again, using your knowledge, if you could just justify, explain why that is likely to happen based on sociological research. Finally, I've just done a little bit on labelling and gender. Now, the reason I've only done one small task on this is because we are going to be looking at gender in a lot more detail in the next couple of lessons. So, in a study on classroom interaction, it was found that boys took up the majority of classroom time. And think about your lessons when you were younger. Was that the case? Did boys have the majority of the teacher's attention in the classroom? But that attention tended to be negative. Now, if you remember, we watched a video of this looking at in primary school, and do you remember the teacher yelled at the male students, but when she was talking to the female students, she would get down low to their level, and she would talk to them more in a kind of calm fashion, and that tends to be the pattern, particularly at primary school. Equally, it was found that looking then at the girls' behaviour and the boys' behaviour, girls liked kind of like group tasks, they like to swap ideas, they like to take in turns to talk, where boys like to dominate the classroom. So you might see a boy's more likely to shout out the answer rather than putting his hand up. A boy's more likely to want to argue in a classroom discussion. So based on that, there's just 4 questions I would like you to answer. If you have any difficulties on that, can you please let me know? Thank you. Bye.